everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Search Sessions is a bi-weekly show we're hosting to help businesses and our community best position themselves for success during and after the pandemic. We host this every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain and bring on industry experts and thought leaders to provide business advice and guidance during these times. Every week, our brilliant SEO leaders at Boostability also provide weekly SEO advice and tips for how you can optimize your SEO. This week, we have a fantastic show for you. Our special guest today is Joseph Pfister. Joseph is a strategic partner manager of online partnerships at Google and is here today to talk to us about how you can grow your website earnings with Google products. This talk is value-packed. Joseph, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, glad to be here today. Thank you.
It's going to be great. And I'm Amanda Price, VP of Marketing here at Boostability and your host. So let's jump in and take a look at the agenda. Today, we're going to start with introductions, and then we're going to dive into how you can grow your website's earnings with Google. We're going to look at audience engagement, 3 key steps to building good traffic, and then talk about how you can get started with AdSense and actually use this amazing technology to monetize your site. We're then going to dive into actionable SEO strategies from Boostability, talking about how SMBs can merge their on-site organic tactics with these ad strategies to maximize their monetization. And then we're going to jump into a live Q&A. If you have questions throughout this talk, please drop them in at the bottom of the presentation in the Q&A box, and then Christine Pratt, our amazing show producer, will queue them up and we will get to them at the end of the show. And then tune in week after next on Wednesday, August 19th. We have another amazing show for you. We're going to be talking about how to increase sales and regain control of your brand on Amazon. COVID-19 has accelerated the need for businesses to conduct e-commerce, and we have 2 of the best companies in the e-commerce growth and protection space, Pattern and Gray Falcon, on to take us through critical steps and learnings. All right, let's jump in. So Boostability is the global leader in small business and partner-focused white label SEO. We offer affordable SEO specifically designed to meet the needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Our proprietary technology Launchpad tracks over 2.3 million keyword rankings per month, which enables us to make SEO decisions based on millions of bits of information. Not only that, but we serve customers and partners all around the world. We're in 15 countries, 9 languages, and are quickly expanding. And we get 86% of our customers on the first page of Google within 6 months. And we got 69,000 keywords on Google in 2019 alone. Boostability is dedicated to helping businesses succeed online. And we are thrilled to have Joseph Pfister from Google here today. Joseph is the strategic partner manager in the online partnership groups for Google. Joseph helps French and Spanish web partners make the most of Google's sell-side products in order to grow their business. Joseph has a strong focus on helping partners maximize monetization, and he consults publishers on Google AdSense and Ad Manager products. Joseph also has a master's degree in management from ESCP Business School, and he earned his bachelor's degree in political science from McGill University. And today we'll be learning about the benefits of Google AdSense. With Google AdSense, trusted advertisers show their ads on your site, generating revenue for you to keep creating great content and take your business to the next level. AdSense gets you the best of Google's automation and is fully customizable. Plus, signing up is free and easy, and more than 2 million publishers are already earning money from their sites with Google AdSense, and you can too. So let's set the stage before I transfer this over to Joseph. During this talk, we're going to go through how website publishers can use Google monetization products to grow their business with AdSense. It's going to be a fantastic talk. Joseph, over to you.
Thank you very much, Amanda. And yeah, welcome all to this talk. So yeah, today the content is really going to be focused around monetization, but we first wanted to start with a sort of more interesting topic for any website owner, not necessarily one that is monetizing, and that is around audience engagement, because of course your audience is at the very basis of your website success, and we wanted to give you 3 key steps to building good traffic. But beforehand, we want to first go into the sort of ecosystem of digital advertising, which is focused around three main actors. The first one being the users, of course, they're the basis. They're the ones that interact with publishers by going on their websites. And then there are the ones also that advertisers pay to advertise to. And so we'll go back to this slide later when talking more specifically about AdSense. But really, we wanted to focus here first on the users because they're the ones that you should really be focusing on rather than monetization. The first part really is how to engage those users, how to engage your audience. And three quick ways, this is not rocket science, but it's always something that we think is a good reminder and that should always be on your mind, are to relate to your users' interest, of course, so that they are attracted to your content and they come back to your website, to diversify your content strategy so that you have content that is accessible at all times, but that people can come back to at the same time. And then you have to make your content easy to consume, and Google offers you tons of ways to help you do that. If we focus on the first part, which is relating to your users' interests, it's really key and quite basic that it's not just enough to know who your users are, but you have to understand where they're coming from and what they want to see when digesting your content. And here, one very good way to do so is to answer 5 simple questions at first that I think a lot of you are already aware of, but it's really important to know how many users are visiting your site, how often users come back to your site, which of your post pages are most popular, which search terms visitors use to find your website and your information, and then where your visitors are coming from. All of these impact the performance of your website, but also impact your monetization. And you can go much more deep into a lot of these questions. Some of the questions that I often ask my publishers is, do you know how many sessions per page per sessions your users have? Do they visit only one page, or do they actually navigate on your website? And that will really help you articulate your website and your user experience around that. One way to answer those questions, and there's plenty, but our recommended way is to use Google Analytics, which I'm guessing a lot of you are already familiar with, but it's a free web analytics platform that records and reports visits to your website. It gives you access to a ton of data, and you can really dig deep into this data to make the most out of it and improve your website and improve its chances of success. If we look into analytics, if you're not already using it, we really recommend that you get started with it. You just have to type Google Analytics in Google and you should arrive on the landing page, but it will really help you unlock your site's data. And it can give you excellent insights into what's working well on your website, how your users are accessing your content, and what they're looking at. There's a wealth of information and tons of benefits, but if I would resume them, it's that you can optimize your website, identify opportunities across traffic sources, across geographies, across devices to really improve your user experience and your content. By seeing which pages are most popular around your visitors, will make sure that you know what attracts them and what drives them away. So here is a first report of the first example of a report that we really recommend you consult. Is the report called Landing Pages, which shows you which part of the site has the most traffic and which of your audiences are most engaged for the longest time. So for all of these pages that you have, you can see exactly all of this information, how long people are staying, how many pages they consult after this landing page. And there's tons of usage that you can do from this information, but the most important one is to find out which pages are popular and which aren't, so that you can know what you need to reproduce, what you need to work on, and simply improve your website that way.
And Joseph, this is so good on the SEO front too, because then you understand what people are reacting with, what's bringing them to your site, what they want to engage with, so you can create more of that content and then rank for that.
Exactly.
And then the more traffic you get and you have AdSense on your page, then the more you can monetize.
Of course, and it comes back to the question that I presented earlier about what search words are people finding you with, and this is all very related, and it's a very good point, Amanda, and you have to be aware of this and on top of it to really improve the chances of success of your website. And one other way to use landing pages is when you do direct sales. So this with AdSense is not necessarily possible, but with our other monetization product, which is called Ad Manager, which is an ad server, and this allows you to traffic different sources of demand. This is really very, very useful information because direct advertisers will be most interested in the pages that are most visited on your site. And so you can show them these top pages in your Ad Manager profile. I don't know how familiar people are on the show with Ad Manager, but it's really a relevant product when you have different sources of demand in terms of advertising, or if you do direct sales. If you don't, and you want to keep things more simple, AdSense is really the product for you. The second report I wanted to talk about is the mobile report, which is, again, a very critical report, which shows you performance by device type. We know that today mobile has taken over the internet, but your strategy should be focused on that. And you can really understand through this report how much revenue is associated with each device type, and also see mobile specific demand. And then you can use this information to consider using a specific SSP dedicated to mobile monetization if this is something that's important to you for non-standard ad types. And all of these reports you can access through Google Analytics. We have the paths here shown to you, but you can always find the information on the Analytics Help Center and tons of resources that are online. And again, these are only 2 reports out of many. And if you want to dig deeper, there's much more to learn about analytics and your website.
And mobile is so critical, especially now with, how this pandemic has changed consumer behavior. Everyone's on their phone constantly. That's how you're looking at businesses. That's where you're deciding where you want to spend your money. And so it's so important to be looking at these mobile reports so you can optimize from a monetization and then just your site so that its performance is performing as best as it can.
Yeah, it's very interesting, Amanda, what you're saying, because I even noticed that actually during the confinement period where people were stuck at home, people were reverting back to more desktop or other ways of consuming content because they're not always on the move, for instance, at the mobile. So this is typically where you need to know what users are doing on your website, if they're still consuming through mobile, or in a case like this, if they've switched back to other ways of consuming. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point, because you're working from home and you're on your laptop. Yeah. So you're also using that a lot more too. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So this is typically why you need to be on top of this information. And then the second tip, really, what we wanted to bring forward is that it's very important that you diversify your content strategy so that people keep coming back and there's something always interesting to them. And there's 2 ways that we put forward to do this. Is the first one being evergreen content and the second one being trending content. When we talk about evergreen content, we really talk about material that is relevant no matter when it's accessed. And there's tons of types of content that fit in the category, but it can be how-to guides, top lists, even food recipes. And evergreen content will always be searched for because people can come back to it at any point in time, and they will also continue growing. And so one simple advice here is to go through your archive and see which content can I reuse again today? Which content is still relevant today that you can promote in a different way through social media, for instance? And this is a way of using content that you've already worked on in the past, but bring it back and bring people, new users to your website. And then the second thing we wanted to put forward is to produce trending content. So content that is buzzing. I think we all know what trends are, but here there's a very important tool, again, that we often put forward to our publishers, is to use Google Trends, because it uses real-time search data to help you gauge search behavior over time. And this will really help you tap into the wealth of information that's on Google and help you in your content creation. It can give you a lot of inspiration on what to produce in terms of content, how to link the content to what is trending. And that is really made easy by Google Trends. You can split by country, you can split by keywords, you can see which keywords are related to other keywords, and that sort of creates a content strategy. And I guess in SEO, it's probably also very relevant.
Yeah, Google Trends is one of my favorite tools. If you guys haven't used it, try it. It's amazing. You can just put in keywords and see exactly kind of what people are searching where in the world and how that's relevant. It's so phenomenal.
Yeah, and this slide here is super interesting because it shows you that you don't need necessarily to consult Google Trends in the now. You can also use Google Trends to look at the more long-term and the more historical patterns, because some keywords are going to come back consistently during the year, but some have a very seasonal pattern. And when you're producing content, this is very relevant, because if you know that in September, everyone is going to look for school uniform in this country, then, and you can see that trend coming back every year, then that's a very good sign that you can produce content around that specific topic in advance and plan your whole sort of content strategy around that. So again, this is a very good way to diversify your content strategy. And then the third tip that we wanted to bring forward is to make your content easy to consume, which really relates in the end to user experience, because we, of course, at Google do a lot of research on user experience. It's at the basis of almost everything that we do, every product that we build. And when users connect with your brand, they almost expect to be engaged and delighted. And there's a few stats here that are very interesting and highlight the importance of user experience. The first one being that it's very, very brief for a user to form a first impression. It takes 50 milliseconds. So that landing moment on your website is critical. The second one is that if that first impression is bad, then your consumers are most likely not going to return to your website. We've seen 88% of users that are less likely to return to a website after a negative user experience. And here, this relates to tons of elements that you need to be aware of. And then the final one is that improvements in engagement in user experience can lead to 100%, improvements in user experience can lead to a 200% in user engagement. And again, if your user experience is done properly, then your users will naturally engage more. Whereas if not, they might not come back to your website. So have a very strong focus on that. And few components from this important experience are page speed, because that has a critical impact on the first impression, the site design, of course, and then all of the different tools that are linked, or the design of your website, the call to actions. And we'll go in a few of these just now. The first thing is, as we've said, we've put a lot of emphasis on mobile. This is critical. Today, users use a variety of devices to navigate on the web, and your site layout should adjust to the size and the capabilities of all these devices. The experience should be consistent, and there's a lot of really good resources that you can access on the website, the Google developer websites. So if you're not aware of these, or you want to learn more about this, I really suggest that you visit the website. The second one is the call to actions. It's really important to put the focus of your audience on what you want them to do, and do it in a very clear manner. You can spell it out clearly, and you can really highlight it on your website. So this is especially relevant, for instance, as we can see on screen now, to when you want users to sign up to a newsletter, subscribe to a YouTube channel, whatever, but also if you just simply want them to subscribe to your channel. Be very careful with call to actions in advertising, because you should never call out a user to click on the ad, because that is a very bad practice. But yeah, just be aware of that. The next element is really that it should be very easy for users to find what they're looking for, because research shows that 67% of users will leave if it takes too long for them to find what they're looking for on your website. And this is really where you need to think of your whole website layout and what users come to your website for, and make that very evident to them very easily, because if not, the bounce rate is likely to increase. The next element is simply to, again, put a strong focus on a better user experience. It's important to think mobile first, as we said before, but don't forget about all the other devices and desktop. Consistency here is key, and it's very important that you know exactly which of your users are interacting with your brand and website on which device. One of the common beliefs of the recent years is that applications, for instance, have become very, very important. But we have an example here that's linked with Starbucks, which has seen much more users coming through their mobile web page rather than the app. And it's very important that then that mobile web app is that the mobile page is as good as the application. You really have to have consistency across the line. And finally, one thing, again, where Google can help you a lot is to streamline task completion by optimizing forms and all sorts of elements on your website. So with Google, you can have fast checkout solutions, auto-suggest, auto-complete attributes. You can have subscribe with Google, and all of these tools are there for you to use and to be integrated based on the nature of your website. So do think of all these things when creating your website so that you can optimize the chances of success. And finally, the last thing we want to talk about is page speed, because that is critical. It's something that we talk a lot about with our publishers. It's a very good way to see what is going on your website is to go on Page Speed Insights. You can obtain a report very easily by just entering the page URL, and that will pull a report for mobile as well as for desktop. And it will give you, as we can see here on the screen, very good data on how to make those improvements, what the key metrics are, and how they compare to the sort of a benchmark to see how they compare. And below this information on the lab data, you'll see that there's clear information exactly on where you can improve the performance of your website. So don't hesitate to consult these, because ad speed is key for your website experience, but also for your advertising, which is a good linkage with the next part, which will be on getting started with AdSense.
There's so many amazing tools that Google has to offer to help you really optimize your presence online. And these are so fantastic and things everybody can use. So thank you for taking this.
We try to develop a streamlined approach. It's not always easy to make every product work with one another, but we do our best. So please don't hesitate to look at all the resources. I've tried linking a few of them in a few slides down in the presentation, but there's very good resources in general, like Think with Google, the News Consumer Initiative. So there's tons of stuff out there available through Google. So please don't hesitate to consult those resources. And then if we talk really about monetization, then our most used product is Google Ads. And it's has a key part today in Google's advertising system. It gives you access to the Google Display Network. And this is very, we just want to put a lot of emphasis on where the place of AdSense is within the ecosystem. And this is when we come back to the slide that I was presenting earlier between users, advertisers, and publishers. And AdSense is really, in a way, in the middle of all this, because users are drawn by interesting and useful content. Then the user engages with the ads on the page and the content, of course, and then the advertiser pays the publisher to continue producing the content. So advertising is funding the internet in a lot of ways, and Google AdSense has a critical role to play in that. If we really go into why there's 2 million publishers that have chosen AdSense, it really comes down to the fact that it allows you to earn money from your websites based on the big demand that is there. We have millions of advertisers competing for your ad space, and this means more money, more relevant ads for users, and very few ad spaces that are left unfilled. Then, of course, we've put a strong focus on mobile, and the ads that are present on AdSense are really optimized to fit on desktop, mobile, and any other type of device. And we continuously improve our products, as I will present a bit later on, to sort of keep up with all of the things that are changing in the ecosystem. And then one more element is that we have a very strong focus on allowing publishers and content creators to really focus on producing content and managing the website and not thinking too much about monetization. We really want it to be as easy as possible. And we now have a solution that you can add a simple piece of code to your website, and Google will automatically show ads tailored to your site layout and saving you time to making changes to ad code.
So is it that easy? You just can put a code on your website and kind of get up and running with AdSense?
It's that easy.
Amazing.
We'll get into it just a bit afterwards, but yeah. I'll tell you more about that. But one important thing here to remind is that we also have a lot of trust. People have a lot of trust in the Google Ad Network. Google has been here for quite some time in the industry, and we've really worked with publishers for a very long time, and we know what is important to them. And I think that's really a key factor. And if we really don't look deep into it, it's the first thing, of course, is related to the fact that publishers can get money from their content, and that only the highest paying ads go live. There's a real competition that happens for your content based on the user or the specific site. And you can really boost your revenues by tapping into this large network of online advertisers. The second element is that it's really linked to your audience. The right ads for your audience will be shown. All ads are screened to ensure that they're high quality. We put a lot of effort to make sure that we have a clean ecosystem and that the ads that we show are go through a lot of checks and that they can be consumed without any risk. And also that they can be consumed anywhere on any device. And finally, of course, you can choose to put code on your page and let Google do things for you, but there's also a lot of control that is given to you. You can block ads that you don't like. You can block specific advertisers. You can customize where ads appear and which types, which formats you want to use. So it's very evident that being the owner of a website, you want to control things on it, but there's ways to sort of do both. Use the optimization options that are offered by Google, but while keeping control on where your ads are. And then if we, forgot about this. One interesting element, if you're not already monetizing with your website and you want to have an idea of the potential that your website has, you can use this very easy calculator. So if you type Google AdSense calculator, you'll find it directly to make an estimation. Of course, this is an estimation. There's tons of factors that go into digital marketing, so no promises there, but it could give you a good first overview of should I start monetizing my website or not.
That's an awesome tool.
Yeah, it's quite useful.
Yeah.
And then if we really dig deeper into how AdSense works, the very basis of it is building sort of your inventory on your website, is choosing which type of ads you want to use and where you want to place them and how you want to build your website. And there's sort of different elements to consider. The first one is really about the type of ads you want to use, the formats. So we have 5 formats that are available. We have the typical display ads, but then you also have the native ads like in article, in feed, and match content. And then you have the more mobile specific ads like anchor and vignettes. So some of these ads you can really place manually, and some of these ads you need to use what we call auto ads, which is when you let Google place them for you. So on the next slides, you'll have a quick presentation on what auto ads is, but it's really a tool that will scan your entire website, see what space is available, where ads would work well on it, and suggest to you that you add advertising space there. But you can also, of course, already have your manual ads set up and then just use Google and auto ads as a complement. So you could have your typical ad units that are working very well and you know they've been working well for years, and choose to see what the tool would suggest, what space you can monetize additionally, and also use the mobile specific formats that I was talking to you about earlier. So you have vignettes and anchor that are only available through auto ads. They're not introduced into the content of your website. They're on the periphery. Vignette ads are sort of interstitial ads. They go in between when there's a navigation within your website. It's a full screen ad, and anchor ads are sticky ads that are on top, banners that are on top or on the bottom of your website. So those are very easy ways, if you have a strong mobile audience, to monetize, to just do more monetization. Auto ads is a really useful tool. It really allows you to grow your business, to save time, and to tailor ads to your website, really. And you have a lot of exclusion controls, so you're always on top of what is happening. So if you're not familiar with the tool, I really recommend that you learn more about it. And then once you've decided of these things, you've put the code on your page, you just have to simply watch the highest paying ad go live. Your advertisers will bid for your ad space in real-time auction. The Google Display Network is very complete. And one interesting thing that we want to put forward here is responsive ads. I was talking to you about the responsive layouts that we really recommend for your websites. This is really a complement of that, saying that you can just choose to put responsive code, which will make your ads adapt to whatever screen, whatever device they're being showed on. And finally, one big thing, a source of comfort for a lot of publishers is that you can leave the money stuff to us. We'll handle the process of billing advertisers and networks. And when ads are seen or clicked, you'll automatically earn money. You know your payment will come in at the end of the month. It's all very streamlined and you don't have to worry about all of this.
Which is so nice, and really what AdSense is democratizing the ability for people to put advertising on their websites, because it used to be, just reserved for the large media sites, and now if you have a blog, if you're creating content and getting traffic to your site, you can monetize that. And the fact that you guys handle all this on the back end, and you really just need to put a code on your site to start generating revenue is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what I like about AdSense is in my day-to-day job, I talk to such a variety of people. I can go from the CEO to a traffic manager to simply a blogger that none of them have the same sort of level of knowledge. And it's you can see that the product matches tons of different needs, and it's very impressive.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We had a blog and we put AdSense on it and started generating revenue out of nothing. It was amazing.
And so I think that's mostly it. We really recommend that if you're considering monetization, that you look into AdSense. It's very straightforward to start with AdSense. You need to have Google accounts, whether it's Gmail or any other Google service. If you already have one, that's perfect. If not, you can sign up and that will directly give you access to AdSense. You will need to provide a phone number and postal address for billing purposes and for payment purposes. And then you simply need to connect your site to AdSense. And to do so, you just need to add the piece of code that you get from the AdSense interface onto your website. It will automatically be reviewed by our teams, and then you can monetize your website. There's tons of resources online as well for you to help you with that. So the official Google AdSense website, of course, can be your first source. You can also find there some Google AdSense success stories. So as typically Amanda said with the Boostability blog, we have tons of those on there. And then really the Bible for publishers that are using AdSense is the Google AdSense Help Center. There's tons of resources there that take you through all of the different elements of the platform. There's also a forum to help you in any way it can. If you're using Ad Manager, then there's also the Google Ad Manager Help Center that you can refer to. And then I just linked here Google Analytics, if you want to look into that, the Google News Initiative, Think with Google, and Google Trends, which I mentioned during the presentation. And one more elements that I could have added here are the YouTube channels. So AdSense has a YouTube channel, Analytics has a YouTube channel, and there you have my colleagues basically doing videos on some of the elements I talked about and some more deep dive into some elements.
Amazing. And we are going to link all of these for everyone who has attended and signed up for this amazing show. So you'll get access to all of this. And we'll also be sending out the video recap so you can see all of these slides again. Thank you so much, Joseph, for being here. This was just beyond value packed. We are so grateful for your time. And I hope, the audience got a lot of great key learnings. So thank you.
It was valuable to people.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. So what we're going to jump into next are actionable SEO strategies from the Boostability team. Today's topic is SEO in AdSense and how SMBs can merge their on-site organic strategies with ad strategies. We have Colton Miller, our Director of SEO. Colton, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Mike Marsh, our SEO Manager. Mike, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Amanda.
Mike and Colton, over to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joseph. That was a fantastic presentation. And I want to call back, just listening along, you see a lot of the organic traffic and utilizing organic traffic in such a way that you can double monetize, essentially, your website. I want to call back, though, specifically. So for this list, we have the SMBs that can merge their on-site organic with ad strategies. The first point that we have here is that user and search intent. And going back to your 3 points that you mentioned, Joseph, where you're relating to your users' interest and you're diversifying your content. We have a lot of these points, and there's specific things that SMBs can do, but really taking into account, and I like how you mentioned the analytics. I like how like all of these different Google tools that you can use to really research and understand how those users are using your website, and then to serve up ads in such a way. And so it's really understanding and doing that, and understanding that what search intent is happening. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in this short slide really quick. But that's just the first thing, that you really have to use those tools. You have to create that content. You have to really understand each search intent, and really understand that you have to increase dwell time with either more content or diversified content, which we'll talk about here in a second.
So you can improve your SEO strategy. By doing that, you'll get more organic traffic. And the more organic traffic you have, if you have AdSense on the page, then you can then monetize that user, not only getting them into a lead funnel for organic, but then monetizing with Google AdSense.
Definitely. All interconnected here. And I think Colton will hit on the next one, where we're talking about specific page keywords that you could potentially optimize as an SMB.
Yeah. Diving into keywords, I mean, Mike's right. You have to start off with the intent. And if you're kind of scratching your head going, I don't exactly know either my intent or what my audience's kind of intent is, honestly, I would always start with keywords. Keywords will quickly tell you kind of if somebody's in that, you know, maybe they're branding right. Maybe you have a lot of branded traffic coming to you. Maybe you have a lot of research-oriented traffic. Maybe you happen to get a lot more transactional. Starting with keywords is probably going to tell you exactly where you need to be. And then from there, you can actually do some research and figure out where you want to be and try to implement those things. So right off the bat, I'm going to recommend a few tools. SEMrush is fantastic if you just kind of want to see what you're hitting on today, what you're doing well on, maybe even historically what you've hit on. If you've ever done like a site refresh, that's a good chance to go back and maybe see what you potentially lost, in that transition. Another tool is Ahrefs, does basically the same thing. Tracks a bunch of keywords, allows you to kind of see historically what you've had. And then another one is Moz, where you can essentially just kind of go through, and you could potentially put in other people as well in all of these tools. So if you're saying, my competitor seems to be doing well, either he has ads or he looks like he's just doing really well, you can always type them in, see what they're showing up for. And then again, that will kind of give you what you're currently ranking for. You can match that with kind of what your general intent is today. So how Google is understanding and serving your website. And then after that, you can say, well, where do I want to be? If the example here is that you're getting a lot of branded traffic, and that's great, but people seem to already know you. So, for AdSense, that may not necessarily be the best because people already know, right? They're already coming, they're already consuming a product. But if you're saying, I need research, I need people coming to my site, I need people staying longer, then that's where you could potentially do some keyword research and try to find keywords that are more oriented around research, maybe more oriented around comparison, things like top, best, differences, things like that. And those are all things that, again, you can kind of integrate back into your pages, whether that's an existing page or maybe that's a new page that you need to create. If you've got a blog, I kind of mentioned this in some of our side chat that we had going, but if you've got a blog and you're just, kind of milling away with general content and you realize, hey, I need to have more research-oriented content, guess what? You just started a new series. Maybe you're comparing products by week. Maybe you're comparing services. Maybe you're comparing reviews. There's all sorts of ways that you could potentially do that, and that's all fantastic content. Again, matching the intent, matching your keywords, and in the end, hopefully bringing you more revenue into the site.
Yeah, and along with those tools, you can use all the tools that Joseph took us through, like the Google Trends, and make sure that the content you're creating is relevant. And again, focusing on optimizing your organic page, the more traffic you get there, and if you have ads on top of it, then you get more ad impressions. So really combining these strategies and using all these amazing tools from Google and from like Moz and all these different companies is the way to create a super winning strategy for your business.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's great to see how it's all just very interconnected. There's a lot of with the Google tool specifically, like Search Console, to see the specific keywords, to see how people are landing on your page, along with the three other that you mentioned, Colton. It's fantastic as far as how all of this, the AdSense and the organic and traffic, how it can be utilized for your specific benefit.
Yeah. And I was just going to tee that right off into the next one, which is, obviously using these tools, using some of the tools that Joseph recommended as well, that starts to get into content. And honestly, the diversity of content, right? You're trying to match the user. Ads is, honestly, just another kind of content. You're trying to essentially, if you can get somebody to read some text, get somebody to click an ad, it's all fantastic, right? And that's what you're trying to really serve your user, is multiple ways and multiple kind of versions of content.
Yeah, and like Joseph mentioned, he's talked to a lot of different people as far as, oh, you're a CEO of a company or you're just a blogger, and really considering what your website and what kind of content you're serving up for your user. If it's specifically a text format, consider going into other avenues. You have videos, you have different social media avenues that you can explore, like with TikTok or with different YouTube things that are going on, that you can definitely diversify and really get the user to use your website in such a way that you're serving up that content in new, different ways, where you're always relating the search intent, relating the keywords, relating all these things with your content, whether that be through text, blog, video, or images. Just really consider going through and diversifying. If you haven't explored one avenue, then that's, like we say in the digital marketing realm, you've got to be doing A/B testing, right? If you know that blogs are performing well, then why not go over into video as well and see if you can get more users and get more potential rankings that way with different diversified website content.
Yeah, and then just kind of rounding it all out, we've kind of said this a little bit already, but really this is just a chance for you to essentially monetize traffic that you already have come into your site, hopefully, or traffic that you're already trying to grow, right? If you have people that you're trying to pull either into your blog, kind of top end of the conversion funnel, maybe you're trying to get them into a lead funnel, something like that, this is a great way to give yourself some incentive, right? Blogging is a pain, but if blogging means that you potentially have some instant or kind of quicker revenue on top of getting that top lead, why not, right? That's your new kind of motivation, if you will. And then to go with that, we all know this, but organic leads, right? Organic is what we want. Organic is the long term. It's obviously the bigger strategy. Obviously, from a business perspective, organic leads, those are the ones that convert. I mean, upwards of 8 times of a normal kind of AdWords type lead. But organic, that's what we're all kind of striving for. That's what we're all drilling for. And so if we're going to be putting content out there, if we're going to be expanding our service pages, you might as well see how you can potentially benefit yourself on top of that. Especially in times like this, it's always good to have multiple ways and multiple revenue streams. So that way, if one is taking a little bit of a hit, hopefully another one is compensating for that. Or when they're all firing on all cylinders, hey, it's all rolling in, right? So I think that's about everything we've got, Amanda, when it comes to merging your organic and AdSense.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. And AdWords is a fantastic tool as well. We're actually going to be talking to them a little bit later at a different show. But, this is such a great thing to think about in terms of like monetizing ×2, focus on your organic strategy. And then you can also monetize by adding AdSense. And from, what we just learned from Joseph, this is easy. It's something you can do. I think people think, oh my goodness, that sounds really advanced, but it is simple. Google has all these amazing tools for you. Use them and test it out, and use that calculator so that you can get expectations in terms of how much revenue you could generate. So thank you guys so much. We're going to dive into Q&A next. We will have Christine Pratt, our amazing show producer and head of content for Boostability, take us through these questions. So Christine, over to you.
Well, really quick before we jump into some of the AdSense ones, Colton, could you just go over those resources? We got a lot of people asking one more time if you could just share some of those keyword sites, those resources that you said.
Yeah, sure thing. So I popped them in the chat there, but the first one, the one that I personally like to use a lot, is called SEM Rush. That's SEM and then rush.com. Fantastic site. Again, they basically track millions, probably almost close to billions, but track millions of keywords just automatically, and then basically they just kind of flag who's ranking and who's not, and then they show that kind of over time. It's a great way, again, if you've had a site for the last year and you're like, I don't know what I rank for, use a tool like SEMrush. It's fantastic. Another one that is basically offering the same thing, just a different data set, different way of tracking things, stuff like that, is Ahrefs. So that's A-H and then REFS.com. A fantastic one. Again, also kind of historically, they give a lot of estimates, so you have to kind of take it with a grain of salt when it comes to like the traffic, volume, things like that. But again, the bigger thing that I'm recommending it for would be the keywords, and specifically keyword ranks, what you've ranked for in the past, what you're ranking for currently, so on. And then the last one is Moz.com. This is a very kind of popular SEO tool. So a lot of, if you're in the SEO industry at all, you've always heard of Moz. And so Moz, which is Moz.com, fantastic as well. Yeah, they're great. So you can do all sorts of different things. You can essentially track, kind of your website and ranks. You can do some keyword research within that tool. They have a kind of a robust keyword research tool where it will give you suggestions, try to give you some search volume, try to show you people who are currently ranking there today. And again, you can kind of do that matching intent and say, well, is that really where I want to be? The example here would be if you put a keyword in and you see like Walmart and Amazon and you're a local, plumbing company, do you really want to compete? Is that where you're trying to actually be? Probably not. That's probably more of an e-commerce play. But if you're an e-commerce company, probably perfect, probably up the lane that you want to be. So those are the 3 tools I highly recommend. Again, Google has tons of tools themselves. Google, always feel free to throw in there a quick search of like, keyword, what am I ranking for today? And there are tons of tools out there that will provide that information for free. So you may not even have to pay for anything.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Colton. We got a lot of people that are like, wait, what was one of those that you mentioned? So I also popped that in the chat, so everyone should be able to have those resources available. So thanks, Colton. Okay, Joseph, to you. We've got a lot of good questions kind of about how to optimize. So thank you for your presentation again. So one is there a certain amount of content or a certain amount of traffic that a website needs in order to use AdSense?
Yeah, so in terms of content, you should have, your website should not be empty, that's for sure. So one important thing in terms of our policies is that the content that you have on your website should be valuable content, and it should be your own produced content. So you shouldn't be scraping content. You should be reusing content that's already there. You should add value through your content. So if your website simply lacks content, through the review process, you'll be made aware. But no, there's no specific amount of content. There should just be sufficient valuable content. And in terms of traffic, the same goes. You do need to reach a limit. I think you are eligible to be paid. I don't want to say anything, but it's all specified on the official website. There is a limit in terms of your earnings before you get paid. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's not very high. Okay.
Awesome. Another question from a couple of people was, can they choose the content that is on the ad? Or you kind of went over this a little bit, that you can, if you don't like an ad, you can flag it, but can you choose the ads that come on your site?
Okay, so as I said, the blocking categories, the blocking options there's different ways. You can block specific advertisements that have arrived to your page and that you don't like. You can say, I don't want those advertisements. You can block specific URLs, and then you can block general or sensitive categories. Okay, perfect.
Another one earlier, towards the top of the chat, you were saying that in order to optimize your content, if people, if it takes too long to find what they're looking for, 67%, they'll go somewhere else. Do you have an ish number of what is too long for,
No, I think it's especially in terms of steps. So typically would be, if there's, I would say, this is purely my own logic, this is not official information whatsoever, but I would say if it takes 2 or 3 clicks for a user to find what he's come to your website for, then it's probably too long. But I have no official definition, and I don't think we define that ourselves. Maybe the article that is linked in that specific slide will give you more information on that.
Okay, great. I'll pass that along to that person. There's another one that's, can you monetize multiple sites under a single AdSense account? So say you're a webmaster for a couple different places. Can you use one AdSense account, or do you need multiple?
Yeah, so absolutely. As long as they belong to you, you're fine monetizing them. So you shouldn't be taking care of the monetization of I don't know how many websites. There's a specific feature for that. But if you own and manage several websites, you can absolutely manage them all. And then you can manage all your websites can be managed in different ways. You don't need to manage them all in one specific way. So yes, I have plenty of publishers that have several websites and that they manage all through AdSense.
Great. Okay, here's one that's someone's using AdSense right now on their website. Is there a way to reach out to Google, or is there, I mean, you've listed a bunch of resources, but if they're just not able to optimize what they have, is there any way to reach out to Google to be able to help to optimize their AdSense?
So that's one of the limits of Google. As we said, we have 2 million publishers using the tool. So we sadly can't one-to-one support to all publishers. The best thing to do is to really work on your quality, on the quality of your website and how you monetize it, because if so, then you'll come in the radar of people like me that work with publishers one-to-one, and then we're likely to contact you. But the contacting is done in this way, not the other way. So no, sadly, you can't request an interaction with someone from Google. Sorry about that.
But you guys have so many free resources. Like there's YouTube channels people can watch. They have like the bases covered in terms of like, if you look on their site, there's so many places you can research and get knowledge about how to do stuff like that.
Yeah, and one thing I would add is that the golden rule when it comes to using AdSense is to try and to do different tests, because it's surprising the results you can have based on the usage you do of the different resources, the different formats and everything. And if you think you're fully optimized, there's always something that you can change to drive some of your numbers up. And it's really important to do beta tests and just to always look for ways to improving. And then you can always subscribe. You can also, there's direct newsletters that come with specific optimization tips coming from the AdSense team, for which you can register in your personal settings. So again, these are ways to constantly have possible optimizations coming in. And one more thing, sorry, there's an optimizations tab on AdSense itself, which offers basically things that you can do to optimize. So never forget to consult that.
Yeah, and AdSense, like all other digital marketing channels, is something that you don't want to like set and forget. They're constantly coming out with like new ad formats and all this different cool stuff that you can test. So stay engaged, just like your SEO strategy. You know, you're working on it every month, and stay engaged, and then you can continually improve your AdSense. Awesome.
Okay, and one broad question, this is probably one of the most popular we got, is that if this will be available later, and the answer is yes. We will post it this afternoon on our YouTube channel and on boostability.com/search-sessions, so that'll be available. Hopefully that answers all those questions that we've had come in. So that,
yeah, and we're going to turn this into a slide deck too, so that people can get access to the slides, because there's just so much valuable information. Perfect. Well, thanks so much. We have an amazing show coming up the Wednesday after next, on Wednesday, August 19th at 11 a.m. Mountain. We're going to have John LeBaron, who's the Chief Revenue Officer for Pattern, and Trajan Bailey, the CEO for Gray Falcon, on to talk about how to increase sales and regain control of your brand on Amazon. Pattern is the industry's premier partner for global e-commerce, and Pattern uses its proprietary technology and data-driven insights to help brands attain profitable e-commerce growth on both their own website as well as on global marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, eBay, Google, Mercado Libre, and more. And they're currently ranked among the fastest growing companies in the US, and they're based here in Utah, which is awesome, and are one of the largest e-commerce sellers globally. And then Gray Falcon has created the most effective, economical, and scalable systems to protect brands from illegitimate sellers across marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Walmart, and other e-commerce platforms. Rather than traditional remedies, its proprietary brand protection enforces marketplace seller policies by engaging sellers and marketplace enforcement teams directly. And Gray Falcon's AI technology-backed process achieves unmatched results for everyone from huge global brands to small brands alike. And we're going to dive into how you can increase your sales and then protect your brand from these illegitimate sellers and fraud on e-commerce marketplaces. So don't miss the show. It's going to be amazing. And as always, if you need help with your SEO, Boostability is here to help. Reach out to us at boostability.com or give us a call. You can also RSVP to our next show or watch this one again at boostability.com/search-sessions. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you week after next.